Hi everyone, this is Joe from Healing Math Trauma, and I want to talk today about one of my favorite representations that helps kids understand middle school math, and that's a tape diagram. Now, I want to be really clear from the outset that I'm not saying this is the fastest or most efficient way to understand these types of problems. I think a lot of times parents look at their kids' math homework and they think, why are they being asked to take all these steps when here's the fast way that I learned back when I was in school? And yeah, that's true. You might have a faster way, but some of these newer ways that we're teaching kids to think about math really help them understand what's going on at a deep level so that it makes sense to them so that they're able to apply their thinking from one context to another and they're not just following a set of rules. The example problem we're going to be looking at today is what is 65% of 70? In the 21st century, the fastest way to find out what is 65% of 70 is to just ask Siri or ask Google, hey Google, what is 65% of 70? And it will calculate it for you. So I'm in no way claiming that what I'm going to show you today is the fastest or most efficient way to find this, but what I'm going to show you is a way and is a strategy that is grounded in conceptual understanding that makes so much intuitive sense to kids and that really helps them feel like math is meaningful and feel like it's something that they can get their brains around and they can figure out on their own and it just makes sense to them. And that is the goal. So the goal again is not speed, the goal is sense making and authentically understanding stuff and feeling good about the math. So here we go, my take on tape diagrams to figure out what is 65% of 70. So to use a tape diagram to figure out what is 65% of 70, I'm going to start by just declaring all of this to be 100% of 70. So this will be 100%, which in other words is 70. So if I cut that in half, then this half over here is 50%, which means since it's half of 70, it must be 35. So right now I have 50% of 70, but I need 65%. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this part on the right over here, I'm going to split it up some more, maybe into pieces that are each 10% big. So I'm going to pretend that these are all evenly spaced here, and that there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them, and that's 50%, so each of them is 10%. So if each of those little pieces is 10% of 70, and each of those little pieces is 7, so 50% and 10%, that's 60%. I just need an additional 5% more, which is going to be half of 10%. And so if 10% was 7, then half of that is going to be 3.5. So if this line right here is the 65% mark, first of all, there's kind of a gut intuitive feeling that this should look like roughly 65% of the total. And to figure out what that 65% is, I now just need to add up all the pieces. So it's going to be 35 plus 7 plus 3.5. I might notice that adding up the 7 and the 3.5 first makes my life a little bit easier. So this is now 35 plus 10.5, which I can see is 45.5. And so that also makes intuitive sense to me, right? If half of 70 is 35, then 65% of 70 should be a bit more than that. And so this is one way that you can use a tape diagram to help understand percentage problems. Tape diagrams are an incredibly powerful tool in middle school. They can be used for all types of problems, including some fairly sophisticated algebra problems. So I'll be doing some more videos in the future about that. I hope you enjoyed that latest video. If you have any questions, as always, hit me up in the comments.